Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies.
People who have 6 imaginary friends and gentlemen. This will be the first edition of Dumbest Statement Ever, and I've seen a lot of them here on YouTube. Some of these won't be on YouTube. If you have somebody make a particularly ridiculous statement, like some of the 3 I'm going to go over here, get a screenshot of that and send it to me, or tell me where it's at, and I'll go see. And if I don't use it, don't be offended. That's how we'll do this. The first edition, our first contestant, we have 3, and those who comment, you have to, I'm limiting this to who you think is the dumbest of the 3, who made the dumbest statement of these 3, and why, and then maybe some editorial comments about how stupid they are, but I'm not going to allow people to segue into all kinds of other stuff on here. Probably not. If you don't like that, you can always go do your own video. The first one will be a comment by mccainisthrough, who also runs the mccainisthroughx account by her admission. I'll have those screenshots up. She made a comment on her video. It was the complete debunking of YouTube kook detector. And this happened way back on November 27th, 2009. And she made a few friends of mine and I were haranguing her about her lack of references, because she does a lot of videos. She doesn't have references. Now she's gone to just cutting and pasting videos and using that as her reference. Like when she quotes Ed Schultz, CFL light bulbs have no problems with them whatsoever. She uses Ed Schultz as her reference, stuff like that. That's what she's gone completely to cut and paste. But before that, she didn't do is cut and paste as much and use the distorted voice. And she didn't provide references, and she would get angry when I would ask for them and other people. So she went off on this video and made probably one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard. Take it away, mccainisthroughx.
We generally don't provide links because most of the subject matter is obvious, but when someone doesn't know what they're talking about and needs some reference point, we put in a link.
Did you get that, folks? That's what you call damage control.
We generally don't provide links because most of the subject matter is obvious, but when someone doesn't know what they're talking about and needs some reference point, we put in a link.
So that was her response when she didn't provide links. Then she made up this crazy story, and she actually made herself look even dumber. Providing your references is something you learn, I would say, I'm not sure, did you attend middle school? You learned that in middle school. So really she kind of backed herself into a corner, made herself look like an idiot. mccainisthrough/mccainisthroughx. On behalf of everyone on YouTube, I thank you for beclowning yourself. Moving on to our next contestant, it is Katavideo, Old Aunt Caca. And I was having a long, elongated debate on the I'm Voting Democrat video with her. And she was making up all kinds of stuff that many people have debunked. And she ended up resorted to all your references are biased. Oh, you don't tell the truth. Where if someone used that against her, she would just, what would she say? That's her way of giving up. Well, I just proved her contention, her parroted contention about X number million of Americans without health care. Her argument that all these nations, industrialized nations with universal health care, which it's not actually true in all those cases anyway. They live longer than people in the U.S. That was flawed. Well, she ended up getting really frustrated, and she was making all kinds of contentions, and I asked her, again, do we see a trend here? I asked her to support her points with evidence, and she ended up getting upset and saying, "Kooky, there's no referencing necessary. I go by real life." So what'd she do? Poll a couple of her fellow Medicaid recipients down at the bus stop, and they all came to a unanimous conclusion that socialized healthcare is economic nirvana, and that was basically her argument. She got so frustrated that she didn't need references, and neither does mccainisthroughx apparently. She goes by real life. So that was quite odd. I was quite taken aback at that. I actually, she did it again too. I didn't save a screenshot of that, but she didn't apologize for it. She apparently, she will just resort to that type of idiocy when she's cornered. So Katavideo is also our second contestant here, and that was a pretty idiotic statement. One of the dumbest ones I have ever heard. And our last contestant is Senator Claire McCaskill, who said back in February 2009 that some of the spending in the $819 billion stimulus passed by the House of Representatives last week represented important federal spending priorities needed to, quote, make up for a starvation diet under the Bush administration. She actually said with a straight face that Bush starved the federal budget. Well, we'll look at this two ways here. Bush's last full fiscal year was 2008. 2009, him and Hussein teamed up to break the bank. Hussein signed a budget extension in March 2009, and we had the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which was an $820 billion failure, flushed right down the toilet, as I've documented many times. Search my videos for that term if you're interested. But let's see if Bush actually did starve the federal budget. If you look at the federal budget en masse, all of and outlays in constant dollars, that's the way you have to look at it, from fiscal year, using 2001, fiscal year 2001 as our baseline, because that was the last year Clinton was in office and Bush took over in January 20th, 2001. That fiscal year was already in motion, so use that as our baseline and ended at 2008. There was a 30.5% real increase in federal outlays fiscal year 2002 through 2008. If you go to 2009, which Bush had a hand in that as well, him and Hussein teamed up, a 53.2% real increase in federal spending fiscal year 2002 through 2009. So I don't know what she's talking about, Bush starving the budget. If you look at Medicare spending, did that fall under Bush? No, it didn't. We ended at fiscal year 2008. The increase was 52.5%. Fiscal year 2009, 68.1%. Bush Medicare was rolling along like a freight train, like it has been since the 1960s. It has always blown inflation out of the water, whether the economy is good or bad. It doesn't matter. And now that the baby boomers are starting to retire, we're going to get squeezed big time. If you look at total income security, and again, all the links are underneath the video, you can check this out. Total income security and Social Security. For total income security to 2008 fiscal year, it was 39% increase. All these are in constant dollars as well. And a 74.7% increase to fiscal year 2009. So every fiscal year Bush was in office, total income security spending by Washington was absolutely going through the roof. Social Security, 19.8% increase above inflation. If we end at fiscal year 2008, if we do in 2009, it's 32.4%. And as I've gone over in other videos, the massive increase in those getting disability, that's even before retirement, that has been slowly bleeding us for decades. That's increasing. You couple that with the baby boomers coming, and you can see how Social Security spending is going through the roof. Well, it's going to get a lot worse, folks. Medicaid. Did Bush cut Medicaid? Did Bush starve Medicaid? No, he didn't. If we ended at fiscal year 2008, 30.7% increase above the rate of inflation. Fiscal year 2009, it was 62.3%. It's blowing inflation out of the water. Where is Claire McCaskill getting this from? Is she pulling it from her rear end? All mandatory programs. That encompasses a lot of programs. But if all mandatory programs ended at fiscal year 2008 under Bush, it increased 28.4% above the rate of inflation. If we ended fiscal year 2009, it was 57.7%. Where are you getting this, Claire? You're an idiot. If we go total national defense, of course, this is one liberals will be, or progressives will, I'll be up in arms over. Even though Obama's, he's an interventionist too. If we end at fiscal year 2008, total national defense outlays were 49.3% above the rate of inflation. Remember, though, throughout the 1990s, defense spending was falling against the rate of inflation. And the whole 1990s, and even near the end of Reagan's presidency, it began falling. I'm not excusing it. Don't come on here and say, you're making excuses. You think defense spending should continue to go up. No, I'm not. I'm just saying Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security spending, total income security, that has never over any decade gone down against the rate of inflation, while defense spending has. It also did in the 70s. Again, 49.3% increase if we end at fiscal year 2008, 60.3% if we end at fiscal year 2009. Total outlays for discretionary programs, that saw 34.1% increase above the rate of inflation if we end at fiscal year 2008, and 45.2% if we end at fiscal year 2009. So I don't know what the hell Claire McCaskill is talking about, and I reckon she doesn't either. And how many people saw her, heard her say that and said, yeah, that's right. You know, they complained to Bush because he was running massive deficits and spending, and then he can go morph into, according to this idiot, some kind of fiscal miser like Dwight D. Eisenhower reincarnated. So which of those three is the dumbest? Is it mccainisthrough's statement where she tried to excuse her lack of references with a really odd appeal that we don't usually provide references because it's really obvious? No, she doesn't provide them because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Or Katavideo, who said she doesn't need references, she goes by real life. Or Claire McCaskill, who said Bush starved the federal budget, and I have no idea where she's getting that from. Have a nice day.
We generally don't provide links because most of the subject matter is obvious.